He told me I was the only person for him, but he never wanted anyone to know about our relationship. When his friends would ask about me, he'd laugh it off. Clara Hayes? He'd say, his voice dripping with a casual cruelty. I don't love her. I'm just with her to get back at her brother, Ethan, for what he did to my sister, Isla. He would then flash a cold smile and add, for her birthday, I'm going to dump her in front of everybody. I'll humiliate both of them. So I didn't go to my own birthday party, the one I had been looking forward to for months. Instead, I got on a plane to Hong Kong to accept a marriage proposal that had been arranged for me. On the day I was supposed to get married, Leo showed up at the venue. He looked a mess, completely frantic, and was trying to push his way inside. Security stopped him at the door while he pleaded, shouting that he was my boyfriend. But when he took out his phone to show them proof, there was nothing there. No pictures of us, no text messages, no sign that we had ever been together at all. There was only his plan for revenge. That's all I ever was to him. Leo lit a cigarette, his eyes looking dark and empty. She was so humiliated by my rejection, he told a friend of his. She just left the country. She wouldn't even listen when I tried to explain myself. Is that not enough? His friend asked, staring at him as if he were crazy. Leo, are you insane? You were in love with your sister. We're not related by blood, Leo replied quietly, the smoke blurring his features. His face was impossible to read. Why can't I love her? But what did Clara ever do to you? His friend pressed. It was her brother who hurt Isla, not her. You can't punish her for something someone else did. Besides, you chased her for 2 years. You loved her for 3. The way you looked at her, the way you treated her. Anyone would have thought you were going to propose on her birthday? For a long moment, Leo didn't say anything. He just flicked the cigarette onto the ground and crushed it with his shoe. If I hadn't made it look real, he said, his voice flat, how could I have made her fall for me? And only by letting her fall from that high could she feel the kind of pain my sister felt. I bit my lip to stop it from trembling, my eyes stinging with tears I refused to let fall. His friend frowned, a hint of regret in his voice. Are you really going to go through with this? No regrets. No regrets, Leo said, lifting his glass. His voice was like ice. None at all. I lowered my head as a single flower petal drifted down to the floor, followed by a single tear. It all made sense now. No wonder he never wanted our relationship to be public. His heart had never been mine. What I had believed was love was just a carefully set trap. In that instant, all my anger and pain just seemed to fade away. I didn't want to confront him anymore. There was no use in screaming or crying. That would only give him the satisfaction of seeing me broken. I turned and left the gift I had bought for him sitting right there on the table. When I got home, I saw my brother Ethan, who had just gotten back from a business trip. He saw my red eyes right away. Why are your eyes so puffy? He asked, his voice gentle. I looked down and wiped them. It's just the wind. We sat in the living room together. He leaned back on the couch and said, I know you're planning to go to Hong Kong for your PhD. How about you reconsider the Kensington family's proposal? Arthur Kensington is a good man. I approve of him. You can trust him. He had mentioned the arranged marriage before, but I had always said no because of Leo. I wanted to marry someone I actually loved. But now, I wasn't so sure that love was enough. Maybe it was better to be with someone you could trust, someone whose background you knew. Even if there wasn't a passionate romance, at least there would be honesty. Maybe I could focus on my studies without constantly being afraid of getting hurt again. It would put our parents at ease, too. I nodded slowly. Okay, big brother, I agree. Really? He sounded both surprised and relieved. I'll call the Kensingtons right away. Back in my room, I started to pack. I collected all the gifts Leo had given me over the years and put them into boxes. I was about to put them in storage when Ethan knocked on my door. We're leaving for Hong Kong next Friday, he said. That day happened to be Leo's birthday. The next morning, I stayed home to get all my paperwork in order. I worked all the way through until the afternoon when Leo called. His voice was clear, even with the sound of airport announcements in the background. Want me to come pick you up? He asked. I told him no. There was a pause on the other end, then a soft sigh. All right, just make sure you eat well, okay? No skipping meals to try and lose weight. His concern sounded so real, so convincing. Later that day, one of Ethan's friends sent me a text asking if I could pick him up. My car was in the shop, so I borrowed Ethan's. I found the room number and pushed the door open gently. What I saw made me freeze. Leo was inside with his arms wrapped around another girl. They were playing a game, passing a piece of paper back and forth using only their mouths. His hands were on her waist and he was laughing, his smile wide and completely carefree. The room was filled with people cheering, "Kiss her! Kiss her!" Leo hesitated for a second, pulling the paper away, but the girl leaned in again until their lips almost touched. Then he turned his head slightly and saw me. Our eyes met for just a moment, and I saw panic flash across his face. I looked down and whispered, "Sorry, I must have the wrong room." I closed the door quietly, but before I could take more than a few steps, Leo grabbed my arm and pulled me into an empty room. In the dim light, he held me close and lifted my chin. Jealous? I shook my head. It's not what you think. She's my sister, nothing more," he said quickly. It was just a game." He grinned and added, "Come on, give your man a kiss." He leaned in, but I turned my face away just in time and slipped out of his arms. I looked away and mumbled, "My brother is waiting for me." Just then, the door swung open. A girl was standing there, covering her mouth in surprise. "Leo, you and her?" It was Isla Vance, Leo's adopted sister, the one he wasn't related to by blood. Leo's eyes stayed on me for a few seconds before he walked over to her. His voice was calm, almost like he had rehearsed it. "I had too much to drink. I went into the wrong room. I don't know this lady very well." Isla smiled and linked her arm through his. "Everyone's waiting for you," she said softly. I didn't say anything. I didn't even look at him again. I just turned and walked past them. As I passed, I saw him instinctively reach out to grab my hand, but he stopped himself halfway, his fingers curling into a fist. In the car, my brother, still a little drunk, was being unusually talkative. He talked about our childhood and the time I went to Hong Kong for my master's degree. "I'm sorry, Clara," he said with a sigh. "I shouldn't have stood in your way back then. If I hadn't, maybe you wouldn't have gone so far away or shut everyone out." Years ago, Ethan wanted me to study business so I could help with the family company, but I had no interest in it. I chose to stay in the lab, picking science over spreadsheets. I was alone in a foreign country, trying to build a new life for myself. When Leo showed up, he seemed to understand me. He saw the real me. He supported me. For a moment, I thought about giving in to my feelings for him. But then I remembered that he and my brother had become enemies after a business deal went wrong. So I turned him down, politely at first, but he was persistent. He pursued me for 2 years without ever getting frustrated. "Clara Hayes," he said to me one night, "you are worth loving. You don't have to feel guilty. The one who falls first is always the one who gives more. I choose to." Later, he saved my life. That moment changed everything. I finally held his hand, and back then, he told me, "For you, I'm not afraid of anything, not even death." Now he was saying, "If I didn't make it convincing, how could I get her to fall for me?" The words hit me like a physical blow. My mind went blank, and I accidentally drove the car up onto a flower bed. Luckily, it was our own, so no one was hurt. Ethan rubbed his bruised forehead and said, half joking, "Maybe you shouldn't drive again before you leave." I lowered my head like a child who had been scolded. "Sorry, big brother, I'll take it to the shop." Wanting to make it up to him, I decided to buy him a new car. At the dealership, just as I walked into the showroom, I heard a familiar voice. "It's fine, I can test drive in high heels," Isla said cheerfully. She was sitting on a sofa, and Leo was kneeling at her feet, carefully unbuckling her shoes. His movements were so gentle, as if he were handling something precious. "No, you can't," he said firmly. "What if you twist your ankle?" He took off her heels and slipped a pair of flat shoes onto her feet. "I brought these for you," he added. Isla pouted, but then smiled. "Leo, you're such a good little brother." Leo hesitated for a moment, a small frown on his face. I laughed quietly to myself. He didn't want to be her little brother. "You're so kind," she said. "Your girlfriend must be so lucky." She leaned against him for balance as she stood up. Leo stayed kneeling, lost in thought. Then he pulled out his phone. A second later, my phone vibrated. "Baby, I have a race tomorrow. Come, I have a surprise for you." When I got to the racetrack the next day, the race was about to start. Leo had arranged for Isla and me to sit next to each other. He stood tall in a black motorcycle suit, looking lean and athletic, and drawing the attention of everyone around. I looked away. A hand suddenly reached out to me. "Fancy seeing you again," Isla said sweetly. "I'm Isla, Leo's sister." I glanced at her wrist and froze. The tattoo there looked painfully familiar. "Hello, Clara Hayes," she said, her tone light, but her smile was hard to read. Over the past few days, I had done some research. Isla Vance was the adopted daughter of the Vance family. She was 2 years older than Leo. When their parents were busy, they spent a lot of time together growing up, so it was natural that feelings could have developed between them. She had gone to study abroad after high school and had only recently come back. Leo had picked her up from the airport himself. He had been waiting for the person he loved to come home. While I was getting ready for a new chapter in my life, a cheer from the crowd pulled me from my thoughts. Leo had crossed the finish line. He pulled off his helmet and blew a kiss to the crowd. Isla laughed softly as if the kiss was meant just for her. Leo raised the trophy and looked toward where we were sitting. "I love this summer," he shouted with a big smile. "Just like I love her." Everyone cheered. I sat perfectly still, staring at Isla's wrist. The tattoo was identical to Leo's. I was there when he got it, just a day after we had made our relationship official. He had held my hand and teased me. "I'm scared of needles. Just stay with me, okay?" I had pointed to the design he had chosen. "What does it mean?" I asked. "Forever love you," he had whispered. He pulled me onto his lap, grinning. "I wanted it on my collarbone, so every time you kiss me, you would see it." I had blushed and pushed him away. "No, don't." He laughed. "Then on the wrist." I looked at the symbol again. "Now it doesn't look like English. What language is this?" I had asked. "French," he said quickly, his eyes flickering for a moment. "France, the country where Isla had been studying." I pulled out my phone and used an image recognition app on a picture of the race I had taken. I zoomed in on the tattoo. The result came back on my screen. It wasn't "forever love you." It was something else entirely, a lie. It was "Seul toi," which means only you. I closed my eyes as a chill ran through me. Just then, Isla spoke next to me, her voice light and teasing. He really kept his promise, didn't he? Winning the trophy as a welcome back gift for me. Backstage, surrounded by the celebration, I discreetly checked the base of the trophy. There it was, carved into the metal, exclusively for Isla. My heart stung as I read the words. This grand gesture, this so-called surprise, had been for her all along. I smiled to myself and slowly backed away from the crowd. There were 73 days left until I was scheduled to leave. Leo was busy trying to win Isla over and barely contacted me anymore. I stopped trying to reach out to him as well. Seeing that I had already packed all my things, Ethan wanted to do something to cheer me up before I left. He dragged me and some friends to watch a meteor shower. The hotel had a telescope set up on the rooftop with a clear view of the Milky Way. But the moment I stepped onto the rooftop, I saw them, Isla and Leo. He was standing behind her, his arms loosely around her waist, both of them looking up at the stars. "Clara, come help your big brother win a couple rounds of cards," Ethan called from behind me. Just as he said that, Leo suddenly turned around. I didn't look back. I just walked down the stairs, my pace slow and steady. Surprisingly, I felt calm. My phone kept vibrating in my pocket. It was probably Leo. I ignored it. Back in the lounge, I sat and played cards with everyone. These were people who had watched me grow up. They were kind to me, chatting and laughing, trying to lift my spirits. Ethan came back after taking a phone call and was ready to take my place at the table. One of the older guys asked casually, "Is Clara really leaving?" Ethan nodded. "Let's not talk about it. I'm going to miss her." Just as he said that, there was a sharp sound from outside the door, like glass breaking. When I went to see what happened, Leo was already standing in the doorway. He didn't say a word. He just grabbed my wrist and pulled me down the stairs, dragging me deep into the woods. Only when we were completely alone did he let go. His face was tense, and his voice was low and cold. "Where are you going?" I didn't want any more drama before I left, so I kept my answer simple. "I got accepted into a PhD program. I'm going to study in Hong Kong." His clenched fists slowly relaxed. He looked like he had been holding his breath. I thought to myself, just let it go. It's better this way. "I need to get back to my brother," I said, turning to leave. But Leo blocked my path. Without a word, he led me further into the woods. The trees opened up into a small clearing where twinkling fairy lights were strung up. In the center, my initials were spelled out in soft, glowing letters. "I was going to bring you here tomorrow," he said. "Do you like it?" I looked around quietly. The place was beautiful, even romantic. But deep down, I knew it wasn't originally meant for me. Then Leo pulled a folded piece of paper and a pen from his bag. "This is a time capsule," he explained. "Write down your hopes for the future. We'll bury it, and in 3 or 5 years, we can dig it up and see if our dreams came true." I took the paper and pen. While I was writing, Leo turned his back and started writing his own note, slowly and carefully. By the time he turned around, I had already folded my note and put it in the capsule. "So fast?" he asked, a warm look in his eyes. "What did you write?" he asked gently. "You'll find out when the time comes," I replied. He didn't push it. Instead, he wrapped his arms around my waist and murmured, "Why don't you ask what I wrote?" I looked at him and asked, "What did you write?" Instead of answering, he kissed me softly, a faint smile on his lips. "About you. About us." I pulled away slightly and covered my mouth, suddenly feeling sick. Leo misunderstood my reaction and thought I was moved. "Have you thought about our future?" he asked quietly. I shook my head. His expression immediately darkened. "You don't want to be with me forever?" I crouched down and placed the time capsule in the ground, covering it with a small shovel. My tone was light, almost playful. "Who knows what the future holds? We've been together for 3 years now. Things are stable. What is there to doubt?" I paused. "Leo, don't deceive yourself with your own performance." After I buried the capsule and flattened the earth, he suddenly threw an arm around my shoulder and pointed at the sky. "Look, the meteor shower has started." I tilted my head up. Meteors streaked across the sky like scattered diamonds. The vastness of the universe unfolded above us, and in that moment, I felt how small we really were. There's a saying that when the sky is dark enough, the stars will shine. Maybe after leaving Leo, my own sky would finally start to glow. A soft smile appeared on my lips. At that moment, Leo raised his phone and took a picture of me. Later that day, he posted a vague message. "Camera turns, focusing on us in love, but there was no photo attached. I didn't expect Isla Vance to come looking for me." She stirred her coffee slowly, finally looking up at me after a moment of silence. "I know about you and Leo," she said calmly. I didn't say anything. I knew she had more to say. "The way you two look at each other, your body language, it's obvious." She paused, her gaze now fixed on me. "But he never shows your face in his posts. He never makes your relationship public. Do you know why?" Under the table, I clenched my fingers into a fist. She smiled faintly. "5 years ago, I told him I might never learn how to love anyone. He got angry and anxious, so he started chasing you." She shrugged lightly. "He chased you for 2 years and was about to give up. But that day I told him I had a boyfriend, so he confessed to you again, just to spite me." Suddenly, the memory came rushing back. That New Year's Eve at Victoria Harbor, the crowd was so dense it was almost a stampede. It was Leo who had pushed through the chaos to pull me out, risking his own safety. And that night, a drunken man was pounding on my apartment door with a knife, terrifying me. Leo happened to be downstairs. He rushed up and chased the man away, injuring his shoulder in the process. As I wrapped a bandage around his wound, he was the one comforting me, his voice soft even through the pain. "It's okay. Don't cry." In that moment, I could hear my own heart racing, and somehow, that's what made me accept his confession. So it was all a carefully planned act. He had used the situation to stir my emotions and make me fall for him. That day, he hadn't been waiting downstairs because he was worried about my safety, but because he was heartbroken after hearing that Isla was seeing someone else. Once the fog cleared, the truth was standing right in front of me. I tried to suppress the ache in my chest, but the pain only grew stronger. He spent 3 years with you just to pressure me into breaking up with my boyfriend and giving in to him, Isla said. Clara, saying anything more will only make you feel worse. She took a slow sip of her coffee, her smile confident and smug. We're both smart, you and I. You should know by now who really matters to Leo. Instead of waiting around for him to leave you, why not walk away first? At least that way, you get to keep some of your dignity. My hands clenched tightly as pain shot through me. It felt like my heart was being smashed into pieces, but I forced a faint smile. If you were really so sure about Leo, you wouldn't have come to me. The man you thought was yours seems to be slipping through your fingers. Bit by bit, you pushed him away. And now you can't stand just being the adopted daughter. Isla's hand trembled and coffee spilled over the rim of her cup. Are you all right? Leo rushed over to her, his eyes never once looking at me. He examined her hand with concern. Did you get burned, sis? I took a deep breath and steadied myself before standing up. Leo instinctively reached for my sleeve as if to stop me, but quickly let go, remembering the distance that was now between us. I'm fine, Leo, Isla said softly, almost affectionately. I'm not a child anymore. His concern seemed to give her confidence. After I'd taken a few steps toward the door, she called out sweetly, Clara, let's talk again next time. Leo turned to look at me. She gave me a slow, triumphant smile. Once I was outside, I hurried to the nearest restroom. My stomach was in knots. I leaned over the sink and dry heaved, unable to throw up but unable to stop. A few hot tears slipped down my cheeks. Leaning against the cold bathroom door, I tried to pull the shattered pieces of my heart back together. When I came out, Leo was standing there. He handed me a cup of ginger tea, the warmth seeping through the cup to my fingers. His voice sounded almost scolding. You're drinking iced coffee again. You never learn. Your stomach is going to hurt. Oh! After I buckled my seatbelt, he reached over and gently pinched my cheek. What did you two talk about? You look pale. I stared at him. If you love Isla, why did you come near me at all? He had approached me with such tenderness, slowly pulling me in, layer by layer, until I was completely tangled in his affection. Just when I let myself believe in it, he let me drown, watching from a distance like a conqueror admiring his fallen prey. What had I done wrong? It felt like a swarm of ants was eating me from the inside out. The frustration inside me grew with every breath until finally I snapped. I turned to him suddenly and wrapped my hands around his neck. I wanted to choke him, to stop him from ever lying again. He didn't fight back. He just looked at me, his eyes red, almost as if he would rather die than see me in so much pain. The veins in his forehead bulged. The scent of Esla's perfume still clung to him, and that's what pulled me back to reality. I let him go. The next second, he held me tightly in his arms. His voice trembled. Do you feel better now? What happened? He cupped my face gently and wiped away the tears I hadn't even realized I was crying. Don't cry, he whispered. It hurts me to see you cry. I finally stopped crying and turned my face away. Leo, I said quietly, let's not go public with our relationship. He froze, panic rising in his eyes. Why? Are you breaking up with me? Clara, I love you. I want to tell the world about us. He tried to explain anxiously. I'll announce it on my birthday, I promise. Just wait for me, okay? Wait for you? I asked, my voice low. So you can turn me and my brother into a joke in front of everyone? He fell silent. I'm sorry, he said finally. You've been wronged for so long, Clara. Please trust me. I really do love you. But if the man who claimed to love me could crush my heart like this, how deep could that love really be? That evening, I got a message from Isla. Love you? You didn't really fall for all that, did you? If I want him, he'll be mine. Attached was a photo of Leo and her lying in bed together. The night before I was supposed to leave, Leo kept confirming the details of the birthday party with me. "You have no idea how happy I am," he said. But he had no idea what I was planning. "I won't be there tomorrow," I said silently to myself. He didn't notice the change in my mood. He held my hand, his fingers intertwined with mine. "Baby, I've been thinking about our future," he said. "I haven't," I replied in my head. He lowered his eyes. "I started thinking about it 5 years ago when I first fell for you. So this really had been a long, carefully planned revenge." "You were always so cold back then," he said hoarsely, as if remembering the past. "No matter what I did, you wouldn't give in. So many guys were after you. I was scared you would say yes to one of them before I had a chance." He paused. "But you chose me. Thank you, Clara. I dream of marrying you." "Leo," I wanted to say, "don't get so lost in your own lies that you forget even you are pretending." Later for dinner, he insisted on cooking for me himself. I opened my phone and started organizing the recordings, photos, and other pieces of evidence I had collected. From the kitchen, he called out to me with a cheerful voice, "Clara, come taste this." He was holding a ladle, wearing an apron, and had that familiar, hopeful smile on his face. Before I could even get up, his phone rang. When he came back out, he had already taken off his apron. His tone had turned urgent. "My sister was in a car accident. I need to go check on her." As he headed for the door, he paused, came back, and gently stroked my cheek. "Can you eat by yourself?" I nodded. "Yes." He leaned down and kissed my forehead, his eyes filled with warmth. "You're being so good today." Of course I was. How else could I get rid of him and clean up the last traces of myself after he left? I called housekeeping and asked them to throw away everything in the apartment that belonged to me. The cleaner did an excellent job. Not a single hair was left behind. I felt a wave of relief. Then a message from Isla appeared on my screen. Just a small scrape on her hand, but he's incredibly worried. Is he like this with you too? Attached was a video of Leo gently applying ointment to her hand, so careful not to hurt her that he even blew on the wound afterward. I let out a quiet laugh. That cut would have healed in no time. When I returned from Leo's place, I collected all the gifts he had ever given me and arranged for a courier to deliver them to his birthday party venue. He would receive them the next day. At midnight, I was scheduled to leave on a private jet. Around 10 o'clock that night, Leo called. He was clearly drunk. "Clara, I miss you so much," he slurred. I handed my luggage to Ethan. "Take this for me. I'll meet you shortly. I just need to finish something first." "What is it?" he asked. "Nothing important, but I have to do it." When I arrived, Leo was lying on the couch, his eyelashes fluttering in the dim light. The moment I got close, he reached out and wrapped his arms around my waist, nuzzling against me like a puppy and whispering softly, "Baby, darling." He rambled on, mostly about the plans for tomorrow, how much he loved me, how he wanted to marry me. Still playing the same role even in a drunken haze. I pulled away, feeling numb. Once he fell quiet, I took his phone and unlocked it using his fingerprint. When I opened his photo album, I froze. There were over 1,000 pictures. More than half of them were of Isla. Even during the 2 years he had been chasing me, he had been with her, taking her to see maple leaves, watch sunsets, and walk the romantic streets of France. He had taken countless photos of her, especially of her back. And the gifts he gave me? They were simply things Isla had disliked and passed along. I thought I would be furious, hurt, betrayed, but instead, I felt surprisingly calm. I recorded the screen with my phone, then found the only 3 photos we had together. The first was the day I agreed to be his girlfriend. He had taken a selfie with our cheeks pressed together and said his wish had finally come true. The second was from my first birthday with him. I was making a wish over a cake. That night, he had whistled from under my window. I opened it and saw him grinning mischievously. We had run through the early summer night, making my first birthday wish with him. The third was the last time we watched a meteor shower under the stars. He had pulled me into his arms and said that the person beside him was the one he loved most. Without hesitation, I deleted them all. Then I cleared the trash folder. I opened his messaging app. His pinned chat was with Isla. My chat, on the other hand, was set to Do Not Disturb. I erased our entire conversation history. His phone was now clean, as if I had never existed. Only then did I realize the true benefit of a secret relationship. Even the breakup could be silent. On a whim, I opened his notes app. It was filled with carefully written details about Isla's likes and dislikes. One entry from 3 years ago read, I don't want to be just your brother, Isla. Why won't you turn around and look at me? Since you're so heartless, I'll just be with someone else. There had never been love or devotion, no passionate pursuit. I had simply been his second choice, a tool in their emotional chess game. I took a photo of the screen and quietly placed his phone back beside him. As I stood to leave, Leo suddenly grabbed my wrist. Clara, don't go. He was talking in his sleep. I gently pulled my hand away. Goodbye forever, Leo. Still dreaming, he whispered, Clara, marry me. Okay. That triggered a memory. Our 3rd year together, I had kept it from Ethan and traveled with Leo to Hong Kong. Fireworks bloomed over Victoria Harbor. He held me close and whispered sweet nothings. Clara, I really like you. Back then, I had been so young, so deeply in love. I told him, Leo, swear to me. Swear you'll never lie to me. If you do, I'll leave you. He cupped my face and said, I adore you. I'll spoil you. I have no time for lies. How could I ever deceive you? Such convincing words. Before I left, I took one last look around his apartment, making sure I hadn't left anything behind. Then, I closed the door and deleted all his contact information from my phone. The moment I stepped onto the plane, it felt like everything, the love, the pain, the betrayal, vanished with the roar of the engine. All of it faded. Love and heartbreak were just small scenes in the long movie of life. They didn't define the whole story. Everyone falls for the wrong person once, cries for no reason, breaks down unexpectedly. But none of that stops us from watching the sunset or feeling the wind on our face. Ending a failed relationship is just part of growing up. Everything will pass. Consider it gaining experience. I smiled, finally feeling free, and turned to Ethan. Before the wedding, I want to meet Arthur Kensington alone. He looked surprised. I added, actually, my parents suggested I meet him a long time ago, but I was too caught up in school. And Leo. 5 years ago, when I first came to Hong Kong for my master's degree, I had politely turned down the Kensington family's offer to look after me. I wanted to learn how to be independent. The last time I saw Arthur Kensington was when I was 15. His family had returned for ancestral rites, and we spent a summer together before losing contact. Now, Ethan reassured me that Arthur was a good man, someone who would never let me suffer in a marriage. Still, since I had agreed to the proposal, I felt it was only fair to be honest with him. I wanted to tell him that I had been in a serious relationship before, that my heart had been broken but had slowly healed. I had left the past behind. If he minded, that was perfectly understandable. Nothing had been finalized. As I spoke, Arthur's expression shifted ever so slightly. His gaze rested quietly on me, a faint smile tugging at his lips. We're both 27, Clara, he said. Having been in a relationship before is perfectly normal. He continued, there's no precedent for divorce in the Kensington family. If a husband is unfaithful, the wife has every right to take all of his assets. Huh? I blinked in surprise. He looked at me, his smile deepening just a little. So, once you agree to marry me, there's no turning back. My fingers curled slightly as I met his gaze. And what if after marrying me, you meet someone you truly fall for? His voice remained calm, steady, full of quiet certainty. Clara, there is no what if. From the moment we marry until we grow old, until the end of our lives, I will only be devoted to you. My cheeks warmed. Arthur stood, offered me his hand, and said with a smile, Well then, let us get reacquainted, Miss Clara Hayes. Meanwhile, Clara's phone remained unreachable. Leo grew increasingly agitated, pacing near the grand setup he had prepared for her birthday. The party was full of celebration and color, with a silhouette portrait of Clara placed at the center, a spot where she would see it the moment she walked in. Every detail had been meticulously planned to create a sense of ceremony and surprise. Despite the festive atmosphere, the person he longed to see had not arrived. He had felt a strange sense of unease from the moment he woke up. Every year, Clara was the first to message him at midnight. Sometimes she would even sneak over just to see him, if only for a moment. She would smile at him with those crescent moon eyes and say, "It's my boyfriend's birthday. Of course, I have to be the first to wish him." But last night, she had not been with him. And that morning, there had been no message from her either. He tried to scroll through his phone, but birthday wishes flooded the screen, making it hard to think. He kept telling himself she must be on her way, but as time passed second by second, she still had not come. His fingers tugged anxiously at his tie. Suddenly, there was a sound near the door. He rushed over, his heart quickening, ready to take a hand. But it was Isla. "You..." His disappointment was impossible to hide. Isla's smile faltered. She asked softly, "Who are you expecting?" "Clara. Only Clara." Lately, something had felt off. Clara had been distant. In the past, whenever they were together, she would hold on to him tightly, as if afraid to let go. There had always been an invisible magnet between them, but ever since Isla returned, Clara had changed. She grew quieter, more reserved. She no longer reached for his hand, no longer leaned in with the same warmth. Sometimes when Leo looked at her, he felt like they were miles apart. Still, one thing remained clear: he wanted to go public. He remembered holding her as she cried, feeling the ache in his chest deepen. He never wanted her to feel wronged. Lately, he had been haunted by nightmares, repeating the same scenario. In them, he stood at the party, humiliating her. She looked confused, then broken, her voice shaking as she asked why he had done it, what she had done wrong. He would wake in a cold sweat, heart racing. Today, he was finally ready to propose. He had even prepared a wedding dress. Hundreds of designers had worked for 6 months to finish it. He laughed at himself. If he had really intended to hurt her, why would he go to such lengths to make her happy? Last night, after taking Isla to the hospital, he had been about to leave when she stopped him. "Do you like Clara Hayes?" she asked. He raised an eyebrow. Isla stood, trying to act composed, but her voice betrayed her. "You don't have to hide it," she said. "I can see it." He smiled gently. So it had been that obvious. That meant Ethan must have noticed too. Maybe now he would stop opposing them. "Yes," Leo said, "I love her." Isla bit her lip. "Really?" Leo nodded. Then, as if remembering something, he added, "Sis, I'm sorry for the past. I was confused about whether my feelings for you were familial or romantic, but I'm thankful you rejected me. It helped me find the person I truly love." With that, he picked up a call from a friend and walked away, never noticing the anger burning in Isla's eyes behind him. He wasn't playing games anymore. To hell with revenge. To hell with humiliation. He just wanted Clara. He wanted to propose. He wanted to marry her. She was his and his alone. Thankfully, it wasn't too late. Thankfully, she didn't know about his cruel plan from the past. No one would mention it again. He finally understood what was in his heart. He loved Clara Hayes. Even if it had all started with revenge, somewhere along the way his feelings had changed. Now, all he wanted was to give her the happiest future, to erase the shadows of their beginning. But when he searched for her profile picture, the chat history between them had disappeared. Everything was gone. Leo's unease grew rapidly into full-blown panic. He typed out a quick message. "Baby." But before he could finish, another thought, a large red exclamation mark, appeared on the screen. Clara Hayes had deleted him. While Leo was being erased from my world, I was busy preparing for my wedding. Technically, Arthur and I should have taken things slowly. An engagement, a chance to build affection over time. But both our families had taken our birth charts to a master astrologer. His verdict was unwavering. We were a perfect match, a bond destined across 3 lifetimes. After offering lavish praise, he selected an auspicious date and urged us to marry without delay. Things moved quickly from there. I tried on dozens of wedding dresses in one whirlwind day. Yet, strangely, each one fit me perfectly. I couldn't decide which to choose. Arthur smiled warmly. Then let's keep them all, he said. They were made just for you anyway. Just then, a servant led the wedding planner into the room, and our attention shifted to ceremony arrangements. By the time we'd finished reviewing proposals and took a moment to breathe, the afternoon had already arrived. Arthur stood and pulled me gently up from the sofa. You can nap later, he said. First, let's go get our marriage certificate. So soon? I asked, surprised. He held my hand and replied, The astrologer said this is the perfect time. In Hong Kong, the marriage registration process was different from what I was used to back home. Guided by a lawyer, we exchanged vows and rings Arthur had already prepared in advance, and they fit as if they had always belonged to us. After we signed the documents, 2 of his close friends signed as witnesses. The red seal landed firmly on the certificate, and the room erupted in applause. My family and his relatives crowded together for a group photo, the sense of celebration overwhelming. So this was what it felt like to be in a relationship everyone around you supported. To smile freely and walk in the sunlight, hand in hand with someone who was yours in the open. That night, I shared a post on social media with a photo of our certificate. Comments flooded in within moments. Stop showing off, sis. What certificate did you get this time? Are you blind? Happy marriage? Eternal love? Wait, a marriage certificate? And from Hong Kong? Clara, you married someone so far away. My heart is broken. Goddess, how could you? Who is the groom? I asked my mother, and she smiled. It's still a bit of a secret, she said. But our family has already received the summer's wedding invitation. It will be next month. The news of our marriage certificate spread quickly, eventually reaching Leo's circle. One of his friends clicked on the post and laughed. So this is why you disappeared, ran off to Hong Kong to marry Clara Hayes, pretty romantic. Leo's hand trembled, cigarette in hand, as the burning ash touched his skin. He didn't even notice the pain. What did you say? He asked, snatching the phone. His eyes locked on the screen, knuckles turning white as he gripped it. His friend finally understood. Clara Hayes is not marrying you. Leo didn't wait for him to finish. He bolted from the room in a panic. That evening, the Kensington family hosted a grand banquet. Arthur held my hand tightly and introduced me to relatives one by one. It reminded me of being a child, clinging to my parents, dreading the moment they asked, "Do you know what to call them?" I was overwhelmed, unsure, and leaned into Arthur for support. Everyone in the Kensington family was gracious and kind. Each greeting came with a warm smile and a welcome gift. But there were so many people that eventually Arthur wrapped his arm firmly around my waist to help me through it all, letting me rest against him when I needed to. Looking at everyone's smiling faces, I thought to myself, this is not bad at all. Mutual respect, shared goals. Maybe this is what marriage often becomes when the passion fades. Something steady, enduring. Both families approved. Arthur wouldn't deceive me, nor would he hurt me. I could continue my studies and my research. Later, when it was finally over, I collapsed onto a sofa, my eyes struggling to stay open. Arthur gently placed a list of betrothal gifts in front of me for review. As I stared at the small print, the letters began to blur. I didn't realize I had fallen asleep. So when Leo called that night, it was Arthur who answered the phone. Leo, hearing a calm male voice instead of mine, froze. His thoughts blanked, his grip on the steering wheel tightened, his fingers trembling. "Who are you?" Leo demanded. "Where is Clara Hayes? Put her on the phone." Arthur wasn't quite as gentle as he seemed. Beneath his calm exterior was a possessiveness he rarely showed. Still, he was careful not to scare me. He knew too well that if he pushed too hard, I might pull away. He had waited so many years. He couldn't bear to wait anymore. That was why he wanted the wedding to happen quickly. No more chances for anyone else. He never told me that he had seen Leo before, more than once. When he learned I was coming to Hong Kong for my master's program, he worked long hours in New York, sleeping only a few hours a night, just to wrap things up in time to meet me here. But he was still a step too late. He went to my university with a gift, only to see me walking beside another man, laughing and talking freely. He clenched his fists and swallowed his feelings. He didn't approach after that. Every time he tried to visit, that man was always by my side. And the way I looked at him, so full of light, left no room for anyone else. Arthur even flew to North City, hiding in the shadows just to see me again. He watched us together, the bond between us unbroken. So he left quietly, forcing himself to smile, whispering in his heart, "I wish you happiness." He never expected that the man I trusted would fail to cherish me. And now, fate had circled back, bringing me into his arms again. With the gentlest voice he could manage, he answered Leo's call. He said the words that shattered Leo's heart completely. "Clara fell asleep in my arms," the man said calmly. "Oh, allow me to introduce myself. I am her legal husband." "And you are?" Leo, caught off guard, blurted out, "I'm her boyfriend." He had never agreed to a breakup. In his mind, Clara was still his girlfriend. The man, Arthur, gave a soft chuckle. "Apologies, but as far as I know, Clara doesn't have a boyfriend. Only a husband. And that is me." Leo felt like he was losing his mind. It was his birthday. He had waited all night, waited until the last guests had left, waited in the quiet aftermath of celebration. Eventually, a few large boxes arrived. They were from Clara. Inside were all the gifts he had ever given her. She was returning everything. She wanted nothing of his anymore. He called her again and again, but the line never connected. He sat there until sunrise, numb and empty, only then beginning to understand. Clara no longer wanted him. But why? He couldn't understand what had gone wrong. As he dragged the boxes back to his apartment, a small slip of paper fluttered out. On it were just a few words. "Leo, we are breaking up." Not a conversation, not a reason, just a notification. When he finally made it home, he stumbled through the doorway and collapsed onto the couch. He slowly realized that Clara had erased every trace of herself from his life. She had disappeared without hesitation. This girl, once so gentle and sweet, had ended things with such cold precision. A thought struck him. He opened his phone and tapped into his photo album. The first images to appear were of Isla. He scrolled to the very end. There were no pictures of Clara anymore. She had seen the photos he saved of Isla, she had seen the notes, and she had misunderstood. Leo remembered her words clearly. "If I ever find out you lied to me, I will disappear." And she had meant it. She had found out. She had acted exactly as she promised, cutting everything off without giving him a single chance to explain. She had ended it completely. Leo was desperate to find her. He searched all over North City, but no one knew where she had gone. One night, he went to her old apartment, stood below the window, and whistled softly, just like he used to. There was no answer. No light came on. He waited until morning. The light never turned on. He flew to Hong Kong, hoping to find some clue, but there was nothing. Not a single sign of her. She was gone. More than a month passed. Still, he found nothing. Then he remembered the time capsule they had buried together in the mountains. In the pouring rain, he dug through the mud with his bare hands until he found it, covered in dirt. He opened his own capsule. Inside was a note. "May there be no years to look back on, only deep love to share until our hair turns white." It ended with, "Julian loves scarlet summers." Morning and night. He opened hers. Inside was a blank piece of paper. She had never written anything. She had never imagined a future with him. Leo stared at the empty page in disbelief. He clutched it in his hands, and tears streamed down his face. Without her, his days became hollow, and when he heard the news that Clara was married, it felt like someone had stabbed a knife straight into his chest. The pain was unbearable. What crushed him more was when he called her number, and a man answered. His heart plummeted, shattered into 1,000 pieces. He couldn't believe she had really married someone else. She must be angry. She must be trying to get back at him. He couldn't believe it. He immediately booked a flight to Hong Kong. He told himself the city was not that big. He was bound to run into her eventually, but Hong Kong was big enough, especially when someone was determined to avoid him. He could not find even a single hair of Clara, and in truth, Leo really could not find me. Arthur, worried I would become exhausted, had kept me inside the Kensington estate the entire time. He had even deleted the record of that phone call. I never knew Leo had tried to reach me. As our wedding approached, Arthur took care of everything. Half a month passed. There were 3 days left. The Kensingtons flew my close friends in on a private jet. Arthur was busy making sure every detail was perfect. That evening, I asked him to go home early so I could have some time to chat with my friends. He agreed, then arranged for snacks, drinks, and everything else to be brought over. Each of my friends received a different little gift. For me, there was a beautifully wrapped box. A message from Arthur popped up on my phone. Drink some warm bird's nest soup. Don't catch a cold. His care was always quiet and thoughtful, never intrusive. My friends kept complimenting him. Knowing your groom is Arthur Kensington, we can all relax. On the flight here, we did a full background check. He's good. Solid family, successful, clean reputation. Their family motto might as well be happy wife, happy life. Our Clara will definitely be happy. Someone smiled and said, I'm really looking forward to your marry first, love later story. But another friend disagreed. You're wrong. The way Arthur looks at Clara, it feels deeper than that. And keeping the wedding secret until now? I think he planned this all along. We chatted and laughed until midnight. When I left the room, I saw a message from Arthur. I have been waiting downstairs. Call me when you are ready and I will take you home. Just as I typed, I'm done. A hand suddenly reached out and pulled me toward the stairwell. It was Leo. I never expected to run into him here. I yanked my arm away as though I had seen something terrible, turned, and tried to run outside, but he caught me again, his grip too tight to break. He pinned me to the door, his arms on both sides, eyes burning with emotion. Then he tilted my chin up and kissed me, rough and desperate. I slammed the food container against his chest. Are you insane? My back pressed against the cold wall. Leo's eyes dropped to the wedding ring on my finger. His jaw clenched, his voice cracked. Clara Hayes, is this your revenge? You're marrying someone else to punish me for never making us public? You really got a fake certificate just to provoke me? I let out a cold laugh. I really am married. He closed his eyes, struggling to keep himself together. I don't believe you. I can explain everything about Isla. It's not what you think, Leo said. I have already told her. We will just be brother and sister from now on. Come back to North City with me, Clara. Let's go public, okay? So that was what he thought. That I left because of Isla, because I was jealous. I let out a quiet laugh, one filled with irony. When you were with me, you were thinking of her. I stepped back and let you two be together, and now you come looking for me? I looked at him coldly. Leo, you are truly pathetic, always chasing what you cannot have. His eyes trembled, shattering like glass. I like you. I only like you, Clara. I never said we broke up, so you are still my girlfriend. I curled my lip. You didn't want to break up? Fine. I'll say it clearly for you. Leo, you disgust me. We are breaking up. Does that make it clear enough for you? Dream and reality blurred for a moment. Leo's face turned pale, his eyes instantly red. No breakup. We have been together for 3 years. You loved me so much. How can you just walk away? I couldn't be bothered to argue. I took a step back. Think whatever you want. I am already married. Leo rushed forward and hugged me tightly from behind, his voice pleading. Take off the ring, okay? I'll buy you a new one. I even prepared a wedding dress for you. Let's go back and get married. I turned around and slapped him hard across the face. Don't touch me. He stood frozen, lost, his eyes red with tears on the verge of falling. I can't help it, Clara. I miss you so much. These past 2 months, I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, all I see is you. What am I supposed to do without you? Just as he reached out again to pull me into another embrace, the door at the end of the corridor burst open. A gust of wind swept through, and Arthur strode in and punched Leo squarely in the face. Leo reeled from the blow but recovered quickly and started to fight back. He was no match for Arthur. This was the first time I had ever seen Arthur so fierce. The gentle image I had of him shattered as he delivered blow after blow. Leo's lips split and bled, his face contorted in pain. When Leo tried to get up for another punch, I stepped in between them. "That's enough, Leo." His fist stopped just inches from my face. I turned to Arthur quickly. "Does it hurt?" He nodded slightly, his voice pitiful. "A little might be internal injuries." "Then let's go home and find a doctor." Leo stared at me in disbelief, his eyes bloodshot. "You're protecting him? I'm the one hurting the most, Clara. You don't care about me anymore." I replied sharply, "Of course I'm protecting him. He is my husband. Who are you to me?" Arthur took the food container from my hand, then gently took my hand as well. "Finished eating?" he asked softly. I nodded. A small smile curved his lips. "Then let's go home." "Okay, my whole body aches." I tugged him toward the exit. "Let's hurry back." As I opened the door, I didn't look back at Leo. He stood there, motionless, swallowed by the dim hallway light. His voice was faint, almost inaudible. "Weren't you the one who always worried about me the most?" 2 days before the wedding, Arthur and I rehearsed the ceremony. That evening, after my friends left, we went for a walk by the river. He offered to buy me a hot drink, and the moment he turned to go, I looked back and saw Leo again. His forehead and lip were covered in bandages. He looked exhausted, his face pale and worn. Arthur really had not held back. Leo stepped forward, struggling to speak. "Clara, I have thought it over. Get a divorce. Divorce him. I won't mind. I won't judge you. Let's pretend nothing happened in Hong Kong. Let's start over." It was like hearing the biggest joke in the world. "Unless I die, I will never divorce him." He seemed not to hear. His tone softened, almost cautious. "There is nothing going on between me and Isla. Why can't you believe me? Clara, we have known each other for 5 years. You have only known Arthur Kensington for 2 months. Are 2 months enough for you to trust him with your life? Why choose him over me?" "Because he doesn't lie to me," I interrupted. "We were honest from the start. No games, no manipulation, no adopted sisters lurking in the background. Just our family's support and blessings. Maybe we don't have deep feelings yet, but life is long. Who knows what will come?" I looked him in the eye. "Leo, I told you before. If I ever discovered you were lying, I would walk away without hesitation. Stop chasing me. I am never coming back." He stared at me in a daze, his eyes filled with despair. Then I saw Arthur walking toward us quickly, and I ran to meet him. He gently tucked my hair behind my ear, wrapped his arm around me, and led me toward the car. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Leo standing alone, his bangs covering his eyes, his lids faintly red. The day before the wedding, Arthur didn't let me go out. We stayed in the study, flipping through his childhood photo albums. I pointed at one photo in surprise. "We took a photo together when I was that little?" He smiled, standing behind me and wrapping his arms gently around my shoulders. "Yes. That year your mom was pregnant with you. My mom brought the family over to visit. I was about 3 then. You were born right after we arrived. The adults took pictures and arranged our engagement." "So early?" I laughed, both amused and speechless. I was just an infant. Arthur chuckled and turned the page. "I came back before starting elementary school. When I was 6, you were so tiny back then, like a little white puffball. You held my hand and called me Big Brother." There was a photo of me leaning over to kiss his cheek. My face warmed instantly. "When you were 12, you were obsessed with acting," he said, grinning. "You made me play the emperor, and you were the princess." I couldn't help but laugh. From brother to emperor. Arthur, you've played a lot of roles. He kept flipping through the album, still smiling as he teased me. "I came back once when I was 18. You were 15 then. That was the year you stopped making me rehearse scenes with you and instead dragged me into playing video games. Just like that, I became your gaming buddy." I remember feeling a little awkward at first. I was obsessed with games back then, but my parents were strict, and Ethan wouldn't play with me, so I had no choice but to turn to you. That summer, I even dragged Arthur to internet cafes every day for a whole month. But after that, we didn't see each other again. I got caught up in the whirlwind of high school and college, while he was busy juggling his studies and the responsibilities of the family business. I thought time would push us further apart, that we would become strangers standing on opposite sides of a wide river. But unexpectedly, fate tied us back together. And now, we were about to become family. Life really is full of surprises. I suddenly remembered what Leo said the night before. He asked me why I dared to commit my life to Arthur after only 2 months of knowing him. But that wasn't the truth. In reality, I had known Arthur for 27 years, longer than I had ever known Leo. I turned my head slightly. Arthur's breath brushed against my ear, creating a moment of quiet intimacy in the air. My throat tightened, and I quickly turned back. Then Arthur spoke softly. "Clara, thank you." "For what?" I asked. His gaze was warm and steady. "Thank you for marrying me." On the day of our wedding, my palms were damp with nerves. Arthur held my hand firmly throughout the entire ceremony, guiding me gently through every step. Under the efficient, solemn voice, we kissed, embraced, and exchanged promises of forever. After the ceremony, exhaustion hit me like a wave. I could barely stay on my feet. Arthur carried me into a quiet room and whispered, "Rest for a while." I clung to his sleeve. "Where are you going?" He squeezed my fingers and smiled. "I will greet the guests and take care of any remaining obstacles." I mumbled a soft, "Okay," leaned back against the sofa, and quickly drifted off to sleep. Meanwhile, the obstacle was standing outside the venue, trying to force his way in. Leo had shown up at the entrance, desperately begging security to let him through. "I am the bride's boyfriend," he insisted. Nearby reporters immediately took interest. One of them scoffed. "Ex-boyfriend? Then you should give up already. The Kensington family is one of Hong Kong's most influential. How could you possibly compare?" "Stop dreaming, it's embarrassing." Leo protested frantically. "Not ex. We never broke up." But when he scrolled through his phone, he couldn't find a single photo, message, or piece of evidence to prove that he and I had ever been together. Laughter erupted from the crowd. "Are you serious? Not even a photo? You don't even count as an ex. This is pathetic." Leo swayed, visibly shaken, nearly collapsing to his knees. Just then, he saw Arthur walking toward the entrance, beaming with joy. "Let me in," Leo shouted, drawing everyone's attention. But Arthur didn't even glance his way. Instead, he instructed the staff to distribute wedding candies to the guests. Those who received the candies smiled and offered heartfelt congratulations to the newlyweds. Everyone got some, except Leo. He stood there, jaw clenched so tightly it looked like his teeth might break. "Arthur Kensington, you took advantage of the situation." Arthur looked at him with calm disdain and replied, "You didn't cherish her when you had the chance. Now there is no next time." Our wedding remained the hottest topic online for 3 days. But that night, nothing happened between us. We were simply too tired. As we lay in bed, Arthur told me about Leo's failed attempt to crash the wedding. I decided that it was finally time to address everything online. I had been running a popular academic blog with over 2 million followers. When Leo was pursuing me, I had shared bits and pieces of the story, though never his name. After we got together, he asked me not to go public, so I never mentioned him again. My followers knew there had been someone who chased me for a long time, but they never knew who it was, until now. I posted our wedding photos. The reaction was immediate. My followers were stunned that I, a quiet academic blogger, had suddenly become the heroine of an online sensation. Then, I followed up with screenshots of past chat logs, blurry photos of Leo and Isla together, and even voice messages she had sent him, seductive and provocative. I blurred out their personal information, adding only a short caption. "To those I do not know well, please mind your boundaries." The Hong Kong media went wild. Even though I never named Leo directly, the clues were unmistakable, especially since he had tried to crash the wedding and had no proof of our past. Headlines exploded. "Lovesick fool kneels at Kensington wedding." "Vance heir publicly rejected, tries to steal bride." "Leo Vance's humiliation, no proof, no love, just regret." Comment sections overflowed with anger and ridicule. Is that Leo Vance, the one who chased her for 5 years and still failed? Creepy and disgusting. He even had a relationship with his adopted sister while pursuing someone else. This Isla girl is no saint either, seducing her own brother. Filthy. If I were their mother, I would faint on the spot. The scandal spun out of control. The Vance family tried to silence the media, but it was too late. I turned to Arthur and asked, "Was that you?" He nodded without hesitation. "Yes." I couldn't help but laugh. "You are more cunning than you look." He raised one eyebrow and smirked. He deserved it. Eventually, my brother learned the whole story. Furious, he said, "Why didn't you tell me? I would have beaten him up." Now that everything was behind me, I told him everything without holding back. He sat silently for a moment, then frowned and said, "Isla told me he did it all for revenge. For her." "For who?" I asked, laughing suddenly. My brother looked completely confused. "I was popular back then. A lot of people confessed. How would I remember her?" It turned out that Leo and Isla had plotted revenge against my brother. But the joke was, he didn't even remember who they were. They had been planning for years, and he had completely forgotten they existed. How absurd and laughable it all seemed. But as the topic came up again, it stirred a memory in Ethan's mind. That scumbag. He had dared to hurt his sister. Well, he was about to learn that things would never be easy for him again in North City. Ethan immediately made several phone calls. From now on, cut all cooperation with the Vance family. Every one of their projects, take them, block them, outbid them. Use every means necessary. Let him understand what it means to have made a true enemy. And just like that, Leo had officially shot himself in the foot. Before the new semester started, I took Arthur with me to North City for a short visit. Along the way, we met up with some old friends. At one point, I stepped out onto the terrace for some fresh air, and there he was. Leo. During that time, I had heard whispers about the Vance family's situation. It was not good. Their stock price had dropped significantly. Internal conflicts tore through the family. They had even issued a public statement severing ties with Isla, stating that their former adopted daughter would never be accepted into the family through marriage. Isla had schemed endlessly, only to end up with absolutely nothing. As for Leo, the projects under his charge were being rejected by one company after another, all due to the negative press surrounding the family. Rumor had it he was even attacked one night by masked assailants. The day he was beaten up, my brother called me over and over, chuckling each time but saying very little. I could tell he was pleased. Seeing Leo now, his pale, drawn face, his exhausted expression, all I could think was that he deserved it. He walked slowly toward me, his eyes slightly red. "I didn't know Isla would go that far. I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I'm sorry I disappointed you during that time, but Clara, I swear nothing ever happened between her and me. Is it really unforgivable?" I looked at him calmly. "Leo, while you were in love with her, you pursued me. And after getting together with me, you still couldn't let her go. In the end, just like her, you are left with nothing." His lips trembled. He placed a hand over his heart. "Right now, I only truly love you." I kept my voice steady. "If Isla came back to you, would you take her back?" He shook his head firmly, pain etched across his face. "No, never." I gave a slight smile. "Then we are the same. You came looking for me, but I will not go back with you. Now you understand how I felt, don't you? When you realize something is a mistake, you don't keep chasing it. That is why I cannot choose to walk toward you again." Tears began to fall from his eyes. "But for those 5 years, I loved you. I really did. Why did you have to retaliate? Why ruin my reputation?" I met his gaze coldly. "Because I overheard your conversation from the very beginning. You were lying to me. You pursued me for revenge. You planned to humiliate me at your birthday party. Can someone like that have genuine feelings?" His face turned pale. "All I did," I continued, "was give you a taste of your own medicine, and now you can't handle it." He stood frozen, stunned, then laughed bitterly. "So this is what it feels like to be tricked and hurt by the person you love." His eyes searched mine again, this time with a flicker of desperate hope. Clara, if you wanted to humiliate me so badly, does that mean you still care? Do I still have a chance? I slowly raised my hand, showing him the ring on my finger. The entire world knows I am married, and I will never get divorced. Later, Leo was seen rummaging through trash bins, trying to find the gift I had thrown away that day. The one I had once made for him by hand. It was a small box of preserved flowers, now weathered and damaged by time and carelessness. When he finally found it, he brought it to me. I took it silently from his hand, walked to the edge of a rushing river, and without a word, threw it in. Then I turned and walked away, back to Arthur, who was waiting for me. Flowers always turn toward the sun, and people move forward. Time repeats itself, but I was ready to face the next bright day, hand in hand with the person beside me.